Good evening YouTube, John Booter here again, and this is the second part of the tutorial where we work on the Roledomizer application that my son George and I started brainstorming on and wrote some of the code for. Full disclosure, this is the second time I've started a video talking about it this evening. The first time I kind of got stuck, so this was the first. I hadn't done a trial run of the bulk load from a CSV file into the tech stack, basically the SQL Server. There were a few differences. I had implemented it in MySQL, also with PHP, so I brought over that sample code. Had to make quite a few changes, ended up not really having it work too well, but I got it fixed after I stopped the video. So I wanted to just kind of go over the code rather than showing you the whole process of me working through it. I still didn't use any swear words, nothing crazy, but I just figured you guys would get the most benefit out of going over what is being done, and we can look at some of the details and go from there. So what we did is we brought in a function to, well, actually let me just close out of that, I don't need it. We brought in some example code and changed it. So import participants.php, and let me just hide my face so you can see the code better there. Import participants actually loads a CSV file, so we'll just talk through what it does first, and then we'll make a few changes to this. We will have it truncate. So this is some error checking. That was pretty useful. We open a pre-formatted text HTML code block. Usually it's going to be code. I'll just kind of show you what that looks like. And when you do a print-r of an array, that's what you usually want it to look like, pre-formatted, where it's tabbed in like that, so it's easier for a human to read and everything. And what we did is we printed print-r on the file's attachment object, which we'll look over here. So that's kind of the details of the attachment that we've uploaded here. So it gives it a temporary file name, which goes in that XAMPP directory. The actual name is up here, the size in bytes, I believe. Then we do a little bit here. This is all custom stuff. We got the size, but we also check the lines, including the header row. And then we skip the header row. So what that looks like, code-wise, is as long as the attachment size is greater than 0, we proceed. And then fgetCSV, built-in fopen and fgetCSV are some built-in PHP functions. Just of note, if you implement this on a Linux server, or, well, any server really, but you may have to be wary of file permissions on Linux. From what I found is it's the www data user, and a lot of times that won't have access to your in your var www html, and then your folder where Apache keeps your directory, where Apache keeps the website files. So you just have to set up some permissions, change ownership or change mod, things like that. With this tech stack, with XAMPP on Windows Server, it just ran fine, so no issues there. So CSV is an array. With that line, we kind of looked at that. We actually, yeah, we'll end up hiding that one when it goes a little further into implementing it here. So this is the meat and potatoes. This is kind of what I got stuck on and had to work on. There were a few issues. For one, in MySQL, I think it's the default setting, but I may have had to change it and just not remembered. But I was able to specify the ID number. What that means is that you could have it in whatever order you wanted as long as that ID number was there, and then it would still correspond. So what we do is we truncate the data. So this is what exists in the table, but let's just say we truncated it, and then I had Riley up on the top and then Niles, and it would all go in the same order. But now we actually had to modify that to skip the ID column. So we're just putting in first name and last name for now. I do want to modify this so that it's flexible, because like we talked about before, we have many different roles, and the user of this application can add roles. So the idea is that they'll export the table, make their changes, add in the people they want to import with the roles in horizontal form as fields that have been added to the system first, and then maybe just like a 1 or a 0 for whether or not they want to sign up for that role, and it'll go in there. So anyway, that's beside the point. So what we did, we skipped ID, so we just got first name, last name, the two values. Now this array, you can kind of see it over here on the left. So we start from 1. Arrays in programming start from 0, but we're skipping 0 because that's the header row. So it literally says ID, first name, last name. Whatever it said wouldn't really matter because we're skipping it. So we start from 1, which ends up being this one. So the first index out is 0. It's the 1, the ID number 1, but we're skipping that. SQL Server is just going to assume if we've truncated the table, we start it over. The identity specification is reset down to 0, so we're going to go ahead and start from 1. So it puts that in for us there. And then of course the first name and the last name are CSV I1 and CSV I2. I in this case being 1. And then the next case for George it would be being 2, and then 3, and so on and so forth. So this is what we're actually looking at a little bit down below. So we're seeing troubleshooting, we're seeing the statement, and then we're seeing the values that we're seeing 0, but we didn't really need to see it. I just didn't take that part out. We don't really need this anymore, so let's trim this down so that it makes it look a lot prettier. We just save that. So what we're kind of seeing is just the line number and success. So I don't have Excel or any spreadsheet program on this one, but let's just kind of doctor this up. So 5, we've got Niles, and then let's say 6, we've got GI Joe, and then 7, we've got GI Jane. And then once we save that, be mindful if you add a blank row, it's going to kind of mess it up, so don't. So I've saved it as still participants2.csv, so I'm going to refresh the page, press continue. Okay. It didn't like something there. Let me go back here. So participants2, import. Okay, so it liked it. So now I went down to line 8. So let's check that out here. So now I've got a whole bunch of them. So because we didn't truncate, it actually just tacked it all onto the end. So that's kind of frustrating there. It's even sorting by the ID, and then with like 1, and then it thinks 10 is okay. That's something. Participants. Is that an identity? Yeah, it is an identity specification, I think, right? Int, not null. Is it? Identity seed? Yeah, it's an identity. Anyway, I didn't think it would sort that way. I would think 5 and 6. Okay, what the heck is it doing there? That's bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen SQL Server sort that way, like it's text, because it's an integer. Something weird happened there when we imported it. Wow. Let's see, let's do a truncate first. So I guess we are working through a few problems together after all. Haha. So yeah, let's get this truncate working. And then we'll see what happens from there. So SQL truncate table participants. This is going to be SQL serve query, and then con SQL truncate, and then we're going to just print our SQL server. I think that's all we really need to do for a truncate. It doesn't have any variables there. Let's just give that a whirl. We don't really care about the file at this point, so let's just comment out our printar of files attachment for us here. Okay, so argument 1, errors and, oh, I think we have to do true. Con SQL truncate true. So that'll be kind of the same format as actually in our query select. Oh, maybe not. SQL Server query. Oh, and then it's the while. Okay. SQL Server query. Is that right? SQL Server errors. Oh, it's doing with the errors. That's what we need to do. So let me just copy and paste this one. I was thinking of the SQL Server errors. That's where the true needs to go there. So I'll put that right here. And then run that. Let's see what we got. Okay. Bool given in import participants line 15. So that's the new line. That's not great. Okay, con SQL truncate. Is it because of the uppercase P maybe? I don't know. Let's see. No. Argument 3 params must be of type array. SQL Serve query. Really? It has to be an array? While I don't think it does. We're not doing a while SQL Server fetch array, we're just doing a query row and then statement. Okay. I mean, we can do a prepare. I know the prepared statement works. It's just a little bit more stuff we got to do, but sequence, okay, SQL Serve prepare, and then we do put an array, and then we do SQL Serve execute, pretty much all that stuff there. Let me just kind of copy it up here. It's, yeah, it's a little more wordy and stuff, but I mean, it's fine. Let's see if that works for our truncate statement there. So SQL truncate. And then we don't have an array, so it's empty. That's why I'm kind of wondering if it really needs to be that way. Anyway, statement. I'll just say successfully truncated here, if that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it works. Okay, truncating existing table array. Cannot find the object participants because it does not exist, or you do not have permissions. Maybe we don't have permissions. That's probably more likely, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look here. So in security, we've got our tut user here, and he's mapped on Roledomizer. He's data reader, data writer, and it probably needs to be DDL. So I know we've got DDL and then DML. I think it might be, truncate table might be considered data definition language. That's what that stands for. Let me try it that way there. Let's see if that makes it happy. I think that might be the issue. Okay. Yeah, so now it truncates it. So now let's find that weirdness here. If we still got it. Okay, so we've got that many. It's sorting properly. It should. I mean, that should be fine. But let's add some more stuff. So we've got GI Jane, and then we'll say 8 is John Cena, and 9 is John Smith, and then 10 is, I don't know. let's see, what's the guy's name? Bruce Willis. Let's see. Yeah, Bruce Willis is awesome. Okay, so then we'll see. We'll do that. Let's make it to 11. Let's say 11. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think that's how you spell his name. Older action movies, you can tell, are on my mind there. So let's run that again. Okay, it doesn't, when I save it, it always wants me to go and, I think it's the same file name, same place. Okay, so line 10, 11, 12, that's good. Now we'll see if we've got weirdness here. Well, that's normal. Yeah, something to do with inserting without truncating it. So let's take a look at the other code and what all that does for us here. So our import page, so this is what we just looked at in the browser with the browse. I'll go back to it. The choose file and then the import. So that's how this works here. We don't have a title or an H1, we don't need it. We set the form action, we set the method to post, and then we set the enc type to multipart/form data. Now this is important. If you're uploading files in PHP, you need to set that. Must be CSV with the same columns as downloaded full table. Yep. And then our name for that file object, the type is file, by the way, yeah, and then the name is attachment. And we just give it a little bit of a style for the input, which makes it look like that. So you can kind of tell that's the section for the file. It's very quick and dirty. Export participants is very quick and dirty too, because it just kind of uses a lot of the built-in CSV functionality. Keep in mind, it always generates a CSV file even if you have errors. So what that ends up looking like, because we did have a couple errors the first time I ran through this one, it ends up looking like this here. So you've got a little bit of HTML kind of mixed in with no CSV whatsoever. And then I think the second time we ran it, it had a little bit of, yeah, it had some CSV, but we've also got, we called a function named close, which was on a MySQL database connections that didn't apply, so we got that uncaught error there. So anyway, so the last one, yeah, you already saw participants2.csv, so that one's perfectly fine. It seems to be working as expected. So let's go ahead and download that CSV. So what that does, I did mention too, when you create a file, a PHP script to export a CSV, and the first time you run it, it doesn't actually stay in the address bar. So it's good to actually just put a link to it on another page where you can just click on it, because when you click on it, it'll download directly as a CSV, which now I think we've got two of the, oh, now I gave it a different name because it's in the parentheses. So now, yeah, now we've got our, I mean, it's the same thing we just looked at, but if I were to change it in the database and then run it again, it would be new. So, and then the idea is that the user will open this up in a spreadsheet program of some sort, make their changes and additions, and then import it back, which we could do. I mean, that's fine. What I want to do is make it flexible. So we've got our different roles we kind of talked about in our Roledomizer here. So we've got, let's just select all from the roles here. Director, actor, camera, audio, prop, set. And then we've got our priority ranking. So as the users add roles using our application interface here, the front end, it's so gorgeous here. We'll say makeup artist, which is, it's important depending on what kind of film it is, I guess. Sci-fi and zombies and stuff, you need them. So 6, so we've added it. So that's, as they added roles, we would expect the width, the number of columns, number of different fields in that CSV file to expand. So what we can do, since we know that should directly correspond to the count in the roles table, And I can foresee some issues with the data getting a bit corrupted, down the road. Not by the computer messing up, though. Problem exists between keyboard and chair, pebcac, more like that. But anyway, if we just kind of run a count on the number of records that are in the roles table, that would probably give us the number of columns we want to tack on that thing. So let's say we just wanted a count of the ID from roles, lowercase there, so it just gives us 6 as roll count. So as roll count, as we'll say uppercase R. Yeah, so select count ID is roll count from roles. So that could be a pretty simple statement that we could just use when we're exporting it, and then we can actually kind of do a little more logic on that. So let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and dive into that a little bit more. I think we're going to work on bulk loading for sure today, and then next time we'll kind of focus on, once we have a really good data set, or the ability to quickly put a really good data set in, then we can work on the actual reports and the core functionality of generating the teams. But I think being able to bulk load is a very useful feature, so that's what I wanted to work on today. So anyway, so that's our statement that's going to give us our ID, our first name, and our last name. We did the fput CSV operation. That's what actually puts it out into the output and lets the user download it. But instead of doing that, we're going to just bring first name and last name. Well, we've got ID, first name, and last name. But yeah, the ID, we'll just, ooh, that's an interesting one. Yeah, we're kind of skipping it, so we might not really want to select ID. Come to think of it, yeah, probably just first name and last name. Anyway, so let's make an array for first names. So say first names equals an array, and then last names. Oh, I meant to put a multiple on there. Yeah, equals array. And then while we're in this loop, while we're looping it through, we're just going to say first names, plus equals row first name. Same thing for last names there. Plus equals and row last name. So now we've got, if I'm not actually going to fput the CSV, so what we're going to do is just, since we're ignoring this output variable here, I'm just going to print R first names and then print R last names. So this will be a good contrast. We talked about pre-formatted text before this. There's no pre-formatting tag because it's meant to be a CSV export. So we'll just click on it. Oh, because of our header type, it still came through. That's interesting. Yeah, so we'll look at it in VS Code. Fatal error, array plus string. Oh, really? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna get our header types commented out as well, and then instead of plus equals, we're gonna say array push, because this is just a standard array, it's not associative, so it wants array push instead of the other one, instead of the plus equals. So that's fine. Yeah, first names, and then that should be what it's after there. So we'll save that. We'll go ahead and click on it. It'll take us, okay, so that's what it looks like without the pre-formatted text. So our first array is going to be our first name, so 0's John, 1's George, so on and so forth. And then same booter, Willis, Schwarzenegger, all that at the end. So That's our two arrays, and now we talked a little. I copied that the roll count. So let's kind of start to implement that here. So what we can do. So we've got our statement, and then let's just kind of move all this up a bit here, and then I'm going to put in SQL roll count equals that, but then I'm going to move the header stuff up above that, and then I'm going to move, yeah, I think this stuff will be, well, I'll put that down at the bottom. And then our fput CSV is actually going to end up going down in. It's not going to go into an array. It's going to go into the into output. And then our print R is sort of irrelevant, but I'm just going to put it here. So this, I think this will make a little more sense, having it kind of organized on the page as we look at the code this way. And this will all just go right up there. So our first section, this is what we do with the data from participants. Looks like that's not cap sensitive on table names, by the way. Anyway, just gonna make it lowercase because that's what it is in the actual database. So cool. So our SQL roll count, we've got that. Statement roll count is going to be SQL Server query con SQL, and then while row equals SQL Server fetch array statement, and then SQL Server fetch assoc, and then this is really just, you know, one variable, say row count equals row roll count. Okay, oh, I meant to say roll count. And then we're just going to echo H1 and then roll count, and then close H1. So that'll just give us the 6, whatever it was. Oh, line 35, roll count. Oh, it didn't. Select count of ID as roll count statement. Oh, con, and then instead of SQL, I wanted to say SQL roll count. Yeah, so it was trying to run that against the wrong statement, so that's why it didn't work too well. Maybe. Did I save this? Yeah. Okay. Statement roll count. Oh, and then see, I made this mistake too. Statement roll count. So yeah, 6. Cool. So we've got 6 different roles. So we know our CSV file is going to have first name plus last name. So then we'll say echo CSV column count, and then we'll say we know it's always going to be first name plus last name no matter what. So we'll say name columns equals 2, and then CSV column count, and then we'll just say name columns plus roll count, and then just break on that one, and then we'll run this. It should be 8, maybe it isn't. Okay, count name columns plus row count. What? On line 39, echo, okay, name columns equals 2, and then row count. Maybe I have to turn that into an integer first. Maybe. We'll see. Didn't like that. Oh, I don't think that is integer. Let's see. PHP convert to integer, is that? Oh, int val. Okay, it was supposed to be. Oh, you can either do int and then number. So I could just do int and then open that. Oh, what is it? Oh, int. Oh, okay. Integer is inside the. Let's see if that's what it's wanting there. Seems kind of bizarre that it's given an undefined function CSV column count. Oh, because I didn't put a period to concatenate that. That's I thought I was trying to call a function. Yeah, so 8. I don't think I really had to do the int part there. We'll see if I don't know, maybe I did. We'll see. No, yeah, not really. So yeah, 8. So now, when we export it, we want to have, let's see, we've got some things at the top. So we had these, those are actually in there. So we're going to want to make some headers. We probably want the actual roles. So instead of just getting the count, we can get the actual roles and then use an array to fill those in. That would probably be the best option. And when we export, we probably want to check if the person signed up for the role. But that's a whole lot more. And honestly, it's almost 11:30 at night, guys, and I'm getting kind of tired. So we've gotten import and export working tonight. At the end of this video series, I mean, I'll put up the sample code. You can pause and freeze frame. I'm recording and uploading it in HD. And but yeah, at the end of the series, I'll put up all the code that you guys can work off of course. And but if you want to just kind of tinker and mess with it, feel free to freeze frame and go from there. You can ask me questions, because no promises on when exactly this will get done. My time off is almost coming to a close. The first of the year, I'll try to get a lot done, but I have to wait till the kids are asleep, or at least kind of settling down, before it's quiet enough to record. So anyway, enough of my belly aching. So hope you guys learned a few things. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and stuff like that, and ask questions. For real, I try to look at people's questions and answer them. I can't promise I can help, but I'll try. So, all right, to be continued. Thanks. Bye.